All right. Theme song in 3, 2, 1, going. And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome. This is episode 166 of the podcast. Here we are, back at it again. One camera, not two again, because I don't feel like dealing with the GoPro at this point in time. Also, it's kind of late. Very, very rare 8 p.m. record for myself. I'm actually 6 minutes late on recording, and I'm actually just now digging up the Google Doc where all this stuff lives. Let's see what I do. What I do today when I got home. Well, I got home a little bit late. Well, actually, because a couple of days ago, I was in the office, just sitting there in my socially distanced office from everybody else, around I'd say 1 o'clock, 1:15, maybe 1:30, doesn't really matter. One of the execs comes up to me, someone I've never spoken to in my life, but I know his name because he's a big name at the company, at the network. And he comes over and he goes, I'm watching something for work, and I have headphones on. He pulls it off. I pull them off, and he's wearing his mask, and he goes, "So I don't want to alarm you, but someone," and at this point, my heart is beating. I'm like, "Oh crap, I'm in trouble. What did I do wrong? Or they're kicking me out of this office because I've made it my own." And he goes, "I don't want to alarm you, but someone here thinks they're sick, and so they're going to get tested. They're not sure that they have the virus, the COVID-19, but they are going to go get tested. So we're going to be out of the office for the next couple of days. So go ahead, finish up what you're doing, and just leave." So I go, "Oh, great. Thank you for letting me know." I finish I think I was watching a movie or something. I finish it. I just leave. And then I get an email from my boss, from my supervisor. And she says, no one can go into the third floor for a couple of days. And so the first day I wake up, I work out. I wake up late. I wake up at like 5:30, and I have a day off. I still don't know if I'm getting paid for it. I probably am because I'm salaried. But I have a day off, and I go, what am I going to do today? Luckily, I have a secret writing project that I need to finish. Oh, I finished it already. I think I mentioned this in the last podcast. That was very late. This one's going to be very early. But I finish it, and then that takes up my morning. I finish it at like 10 o'clock, and I send it in. And I don't know if I said it was a writing project. I probably should have said that. Anyway. Finish it, I send it in, and now I have my entire day, so I take a nap. I take a 3-hour nap. I wake up, it's 3 o'clock, haven't eaten lunch yet. and then I do some writing, and then that was my day. I check my email, my work email. No, I can't go in yet. No one's even said anything. Thursday rolls around. I truly have nothing to do. So I do news time. No, Tuesday rolls around. Today's Thursday. Wednesday, excuse me. Jesus, what day is it? Wednesday rolls around. I have nothing to do except for write news time, write and shoot and edit news time. And that took me all day. Truly, it took me all day. I got to work out late and late in the morning, which is late in the morning for me is 5:30, 6 o'clock. I got to work out late, and then I watched the news a little bit, and then I did some news time stuff, and then took a break, and realized that my iPad is an iPad Pro, and it can hook up to the monitor over here, which is the television, and via an HDMI dongle, which I will hold up, that I've had for my laptop computer for this old thing. And so I took a chance yesterday and started watching some Apple TV Plus stuff, and which is just Central Park, which I just watched Central Park. Plugged it in, watched a couple episodes, fell asleep. Again, took another 2-hour nap. I never get a chance to take naps during the day, during the weekday. And then finally got an email. We're able to go back to work. However, not on the third floor. On the fourth floor, I'm in someone else's office. Again, I had to use their computer, and it took me roughly, I would say, an hour to figure out how to get things working. And of me sitting in silence and just talking to myself going, okay, do I just drag this over here? Okay, I open up Premiere. How do I get to Nexus? All right, well, how do I connect? How do I unmount this workspace to the other? It was too much work. And that's how I spent the last 2 days. And some of this morning. All right, so listen. Let's get to it. First things first, comes from Vulture. This is written by Joseph Adelaine. Charlemagne the God is going to host a weekly talk show on Comedy Central. Now, this is something I didn't know. Charlemagne the God has had 2 shows with the MTV networks before. He had a show. He worked with the same person who Chris McCarthy, who helped him get some other shows on MTV2 when he's a regular with Guy Code. And then he hosted 2 talk shows, Charlemagne and Friends, which is not good, which I looked at one clip for, and I said, no way, no sir. And then Uncommon Sense. Go look at a clip of an old talk show that lasted 1 season on MTV2. You'll say the same thing. Comedy Central, you'll say the same thing for literally any 1 season talk show. And I knock on wood if I ever land a talk show, that is that faux wood? Anyway, and Uncommon Sense. That it lasts. I want much of it to last. And then Uncommon Sense, which was a little bit better, but still from the clip I saw, there were 4 people. No, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people, 3 people on both sides of the desk. So 6 people on both sides, or 6 people total. And then he was talking, and the camera kept cutting back to other people, and they're just nodding along because I guess it was some type of panel, but 2 were standing, and it pissed me off. Anyway, that's not how talk shows should be. Anyway, so now they're gonna have a new show. They don't know what it's gonna be about. Chris McCarthy is gonna produce it probably, and but Charlemagne did kind of give a hint. He said, "quote I love John Oliver every week. I love Bill Maher every week. There's something to be said about sitting back and being able to observe everything that happened in a week and then come in and say, you know what? This is what I want to touch on," he says. "But I'm not going to be on here trying to rehash the whole week. Like, no, that's not what I'm here for." Just okay. I want to talk about the things that can actually impact somebody's life in a real way. The things that can actually help move the culture forward. So if Charlemagne hosts the Breakfast Club with Angela Yee and DJ Envy, and now there's going to be, with his interviews with the Breakfast Club and with his own interviews that he just does without the Breakfast Club moniker, he's a really good interviewer. He's one of the best out there doing it. I like to see how the show goes. I don't think MTV is a good venue for him, but it's going to be on Comedy Central, so that's good. If anything, weekly, I think it's going to be like a 10 o'clock show, a little bit unfiltered. But Comedy Central has the network is good at picking these shows out and then letting them last 1 or 2 seasons. What is this show? Hood Adjacent. That I thought that show was going to come back. It hasn't. It did not going to. Problematic was the last one. Nikki Glazer's show, Anthony Jeselnik's show lasted 2 seasons. Anything that's not The Daily Show or Tosh.0 or South Park, it just has trouble. Even The President Show, which should not have existed in the first place, it has trouble existing, period. Let's move on. This is going to be a little bit on the more tense side, but this next story is very interesting to me. This is written by Zach Sharf over at IndieWire. Michaela Coel turned down Netflix's $1 million offer for I May Destroy You over ownership. So I spoke about this, I think, last week in the episode. Spotify owns the podcasts that are put on there, essentially. Right? No, excuse me. I'm sorry. Spotify owns Gimlet, and then essentially Spotify owns whatever Gimlet is putting out from this point forward, and any other podcasting thing it owns. And so the hosts of The Nod, very popular Black culture podcast, they want to own some of the name of The Nod so they can be able to do a movie or do TV shows and online series and other stuff that has the Nod moniker. Again, Moniker Geller. Moniker Bing. and so that same notion kind of extends to television. Not kind of, it does. So when you have a show on HBO, when you have a show on, which I made sure he was on, we have a show on Netflix, we have a show on any one of these networks or platforms, you as a creator may not own any of that. And with Netflix, that's pretty much the case where you don't own anything. And so Michaela Coel, who had a show called Chewing Gum that was very popular over in England and then picked up for distribution here in America via Netflix, she obviously took her newest show, I May Destroy You, which is about her being sexually assaulted as she was making chewing gum, which is also a very funny show. But I've never seen I May Destroy You. It's a drama series, I can only assume, because it's a show about her being assaulted. I'm not laughing at I'm just laughing at the idea. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so I May Destroy You, but she walked away, according to Sharf, from a mega deal in order to maintain ownership of the series. Now, there's a profile via Vulture, but this is just a boiled down idea of it. Cole revealed that Netflix made her an offer for I May Destroy You in spring of 2017 worth $1 million. That's not nothing, but in the scheme of things, you'll see. The series is based, blah, blah, blah. Cole wrote all 12 episodes of the series and co-directed 9. She turned down the $1 million offer because they wouldn't allow her to retain any percentage of the copyright. She even ended her relationship with CAA, which is a very big management firm, agency. Managers and agents are different. If you don't understand the difference, go watch episodes or BoJack Horseman. Relationship with CAA after it, quote, tried to push her to make the deal with Netflix, since CAA, quote, would be making an undisclosed amount on the back end. Cole told Vulture that she, a senior level development executive at Netflix, in order to retain at least 5% of the copyright. She tried negotiating with that person. And then that person there was just silence on the phone. And I believe, okay, yeah, all right, the story keeps going. It looked like there's an ad in the middle, and it looked like the story was over. And I was just like, where did I hear the rest of this stuff? She wanted 5%, and then she even bargained them down to 0.5% for the copyright. And a Netflix executive said she would have to run it up the chain while adding, this is a quote from them, Michaela, I just want you to know I'm really proud of you. You're doing the right thing, which is so demeaning. So demeaning. I read something earlier this week that said Netflix. I listened to a podcast, the Reset podcast by Vox, that said Netflix is it's a difficult employer, but when you have the job, you kind of want to keep it, and they kind of treat their people. And this is me gathering this information. They kind of treat their people like they treat their shows. 3 seasons and you're done, which is very true, with the exception of The Crown, which they give 6 seasons to for some reason. They love them some white shows. So Netflix, again, I will give you any show you want. I got so many ideas. I got a movie. I got several movies. 2 that are written. So yeah, when you are a creator, you want to be able to own some type of have some ownership on these things, on these projects. And it is a shame that Netflix wants to, while establishing themselves as this big distributor and force in the entertainment industry, it's still a monster business when it comes down to it. And do they really care about the creator? Like, yeah, you can make whatever show you want. Like, they can give you 0 notes, but in the end, is it worth it to be part of the spotlight for 5 minutes? And if you're not Stranger Things, then, and I mean, that's not saying that everything has to be Stranger Things. Everything has to be To All the Boys I Loved Before and all those other things that are popular on the service. But not everything blows up. It's just like a handful of things. And I think those who are outside of the industry, or even those who, I don't know what I'm saying about that part, but those who are outside the industry, they see, this thing's doing well on Netflix. This person must make a lot of money, and that's not the case for everything. So there we go. Listen, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna hit the rest of this. Listen, I got a going to break song, tune, audio thing. We're gonna go to break. Here we go. Let's do it. And we're back to the show. I wasn't sure if I should play that going out of the break or coming into the break or coming in from the break. I cut that yesterday. Isn't it great? 165 episodes in. And I finally have the go to break song. All right, here we go. This next story is about Amazon Fire TV coming from Variety. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. That never happens to me. Hey, real quick, Batwoman, and going real quick before that, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was canceled on Netflix, and they're having a part 4 or season 4 or whatever. It's going to premiere later this year, and it's getting a little bit longer of a season. Again, Netflix. I can only assume that Riverdale's a huge show for Netflix, and for CW initially, and then for Netflix on the back end. I can only assume that Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is a big enough show for them too. Canceling this show seems crazy to me. If that was on CW, I think that it would still be going on. They'd pair it every single night with Riverdale. Okay, and then after that, Batwoman has been cast. They cast a new Batwoman on the CW show Batwoman, and her name is Javicia Leslie, who is familiar to me, and she's going to be the new Batwoman. She starred in a show. Let's see. She was on God Friended Me, which I'm glad she got the job, but this just seems like a knee-jerk reaction to what's going on in the media today. It doesn't bode well. It's just like we need to hire more black women or women of color and Black Lives Matter and everything. We lost a Batwoman. Let's put a black in there. Just doesn't seem very genuine to me. Okay, so this comes from Variety. Amazon's Fire TV live guide plugs in listings from YouTube TV, Hulu, coming soon. Written by Todd Spangler, my good friend. So, we all drop cable because cable's too much money. Bunch of different streaming platforms pop up, and some of us are spending upwards of $80 on streaming things. Some of us are looking a way to budget in YouTube TV for when the price hikes up to $65. It's not 80. It's like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, HBO. It's like $60. Anyway. And Quibi. God, I'm kidding. Never paid for Quibi. So, but then we have Hulu Live TV and YouTube TV and Sling and not Pluto, the P1, Philo, and the Fubo and the other live TV streaming services. And Amazon was rumored to want to release their version of a live TV streaming service. Here's the thing. What if instead of building on what they have now, why don't they just ask everybody else to join it? So Amazon, on the app, Amazon Prime Video has the Amazon channels, which is a very interesting thing, and so does Apple. Apple TV kind of has this as well. But Amazon channels, where you can subscribe to HBO and Starz and Showtime and Shudder and all those every other streaming platform essentially within the Amazon Prime Video app. Same thing for Apple TV. You do the same thing. It's all on there, whatever. And you only need one app for all of your stuff. So now Amazon, if you have a Fire TV, it's going to add program listings for YouTube TV and Hulu with live TV to the platform's live TV discovery features, so that you'll just be able to just instead of opening up the app itself, you'll be on Amazon's homepage of the Fire TV, and you'll be, if you want to see the Loud House on YouTube TV, if you subscribe to YouTube TV, and you'll see the Loud House next to episodes you could probably buy on Amazon Prime. I was watching the Loud House while I was cooking after I did yoga. I did I'll take a little pause here in the story. I did a Grateful Dead yoga class on a Peloton. Yes, that's another subscription I have. Let's take all my subscriptions and let's just say collectively $120, including Wall Street Journal. Oh, Jesus. But I did a Grateful Dead themed, and they have themed classes sometimes with Peloton. So like this morning I did a 90s hip hop full body workout with Jess Sims, the gorgeous Jess Sims. And I did a Grateful Dead yoga class, half an hour. And I don't know any Grateful Dead songs, but I saw it was Grateful Dead, and I thought, you know what? This is going to be a real fun class. I know their songs last like 40 minutes, and I don't even think a song changed. But I did the class. It was great. I turned up. I didn't turn up the heat. I just turned the air off, and I was built up a nice sweat. Then the same teacher had a meditation after in about 15 minutes later, and it was great. I had a good time. Grateful Dead yoga class. I just wanted to mention that. My friend got me this shirt for Christmas, so it's kind of Grateful Dead-y. If you're watching the video, it's got a on the back. There's some type of. I can't turn around. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, back to this story. So, Fire TV's YouTube TV and Hulu with Live TV joined Fire TV's live TV features, and then Viacom CBS's Pluto TV, the free streaming service, Philo and Prime Video channels. They're all essentially going to work in tandem for this Discovery service. I just thought this was very funny because, you know, we drop cable and then all of a sudden we have YouTube with live YouTube TV and Hulu with Live TV, and then you can subscribe within those apps and have HBO and Stars and Showtime and Cinemax, and then also the prices hike. And so at the end of the day, you're paying the same, more or less the same prices. You know, by the time in August when YouTube TV's price jumps up $15 because Viacom CBS are greedy bastards, then then it's going to be on par with probably the cheapest basic cable service, you know, but you're able to get it over the internet, and you're able to watch it on your phone and your laptop and your iPad easily. All right. Let's do this. Move on to the ESPN Radio shakeup. Another story from Variety. This was very interesting to me. I've never listened to ESPN Radio shows, but now that I have, since I got this new car, that it came with wire pop-ups on these websites. I turn off the ad blocker so that I can support these websites, but then the pop-ups, Jesus. Not like The Verge. Variety's not like The Verge. But I thought this was interesting because on one of my presets for my Sirius XM, it does happen to be ESPN News and ESPN Radio. And, you know, sometimes I'll leave it on there for like 5 minutes if I don't want to listen to a podcast or if I'm just going somewhere really quick. And speaking of which, U2 has a channel on Sirius XM, and Matthew McConaughey right now is DJing, and he talks for like 5 minutes straight, and it all does not make sense, and it is the most delightful thing to hear. It's just his Matthew McConaughey way. Just sometimes you got to go onto the open road. You're not wearing any shoes, but you don't have any socks on either, and you're just walking. Your feet are hurting, and this barefoot. And it's the sexiest thing you ever felt. And that's what this song's like. Sunday, Bloody Sunday by U2. The song starts. I love it so much. Oh, Matthew McConaughey, please continue DJing the U2 Sirius XM channel. So, Golic and Wingo are out of the ESPN radio. This is from Brian Steinberg over at Variety. And let's just say it was not Golic and Wingo's choice to be out. They're going to bring back Mike Greenberg, half of the team that helped the Disney sports media giant carve a bigger business in the audio world, back to the medium as part of a reworking of its national lineup. Greenberg spent 17 years with co-host Mike Golick on the morning radio program Mike and Mike. He's going to keep his duties on the ESPN mid-morning TV program Get Up, which is a great show. And I did not know that was the same guy. I'm not going to lie, did not know the same guy. Which he helped anchor since the spring of 2018, along with Jalen. I just added that last morning. But he will also lead a new 2-hour radio show that airs between noon and 2 p.m. weekdays. You know, he looks a lot like Max Kellerman. And maybe it's because all white guys look the same to me. But he looks a lot like Max Kellerman. They're the same person, right? His former partner, Mike Golick, will leave mornings along with Trey Wingo, the pair had hosted their program since November 2017. The new weekday schedule, which kicks off Monday, August 17th, can be heard on SiriusXM and ESPN venues, and then as well as ESPN2 and ESPN News. And apparently during the day, they air ESPN radio shows on ESPN, I believe, News or something like that, or ESPN2. Very strange to me. And then they're going to have a bunch of news shows and everything. And then Dan Le Batard and John Stewart Weiner will continue the program they have anchored since 2015 between 10 a.m. and noon. This is a big move for Disney, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know the radio bracket, the radio circuit. I don't know. I thought Golick and Wingo was kind of a flagship program for them in the radio side of things. I don't know if it did as well as Mike and Mike, but cool, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I chose the story, but I thought it was something different. I wonder if this does anything for the company, for the brand, rather. Are they trying to get a younger audience for the radio segment? They air this on television, and ESPN is on in doctors' offices and I assume car dealerships every day. Barber shops. So Dick's Sporting Goods, if they have TVs. Who knows? But is this them trying to get a younger, more versatile viewership versus what I think Wingo and Golick were aimed at? Golick and Wingo were aimed at. But on the other hand, you already have the young guys watching. Sorry, I didn't mean to say viewership. I meant to say listenership. But on the other hand, you already have the younger guys watching ESPN all day. So that can only, I don't know. And the new shows they have sound very, very interesting. They have two-time WNBA All-Star Chimmy Ogwumike, who'll be joined by ESPN Radio's Mike Golick Jr. between 4 and 7. And a bunch of other shows that I just... Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, Zubin Mehenti. They're going to replace Golick and Wingo as the leadoff to ESPN's morning schedule with a show between 6 and 10 a.m. So there you go. Yeah, I think they're trying to get a more diverse lineup. And speaking of radio stuff, Stitcher's going to buy SiriusXM is going to buy Stitcher. I don't know if I talked about this last week. The company that I work for on the television side, EW Scripts, had been shopping the podcast platform for several months, which means I cannot work for Earwolf now. Fine. I don't want to work for them anyway. The acquisition gives satellite radio company a foothold in the burgeoning podcast business, which is led by rival in audio Spotify. The deal is expected to be announced later this week. The sources said has yet to be announced. So I'll tell you right now, it's Thursday night, 7:35 on 8:35 on July 9th, 2020. In addition to the Stitcher app, the company also encompasses advertising arm Midroll Media and podcast network Earwolf. So I think that's a very big get for Sirius. Sirius's app and online presence are not up to snuff with Spotify and Apple Music and now even YouTube Music. Now that everything's migrated from Google Play Music to YouTube Music. It's the deal. Hey Google, stop. Hey Google, stop. Hey Google, stop. Hey, Google, stop. Hey, Google, stop. That was insane, right? The deal follows Sirius's mid-June purchase of podcast hosting and distribution company Simplecast, which works with clients like Netflix. Stitcher. This is a great move for Stitcher because their app is also trash too. But again, you have to have a foot in the podcast space in order to make sure, especially as an audio first company, make sure that that you're going to be able to survive. Spotify wants to become the one and done place for your audio. So you got to be able to go tit for tat with that. YouTube Music has implemented videos. Spotify's doing the one-stop shop. Apple Music is doing its thing with the personalized radio stations, the human-driven radio stations. So if Sirius has conquered and has been able to stay in the radio space because it is a premium version of radio, and now if it can get a foothold in the podcasting world, then maybe it can continue to dominate in a way that Spotify can't. Spotify's not in your car naturally. Apple Music's not in the car naturally. YouTube Music's not in the car naturally. So maybe maybe SiriusXM is able to get a foothold. Maybe there'll be a Stitcher app or SiriusXM podcasts in your car, and you can just download it from, or they'll have like channels that just play Comedy Bang Bang all the time. Who wants that? People do. Listen, speaking of things you want, if you like the podcast, head on over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there will be so many interviews with favorite comedians that you'll go, nice get. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you'll see me sitting in this shirt on the futon. Battery's dying. The camera's about to turn off, so we'll see what happens so I can knock this out. If you also want to see on youtube.com/cpluscomedy, you see our flagship show, News Time, which is a show where it's like the Daily Show. I take one topic, I sit down, and I do one story. This week's episode is about Quibi 90 days since it launched, and it's lost 90% of its listeners, I believe. That's what happened last night. It was announced last night, 90%. God bless it. The freaking camera turned off, and now I got to turn it back on. Like some type of jamook. I knew that was going to happen. 17 minutes in, and the camera turns off on me. All right. So now I could just talk all day now. No, I can't. So yeah, there was whatchamacallit? God. Oh, I don't even know where I was. Quibi's been out for 90 days, and 90% of its free tier people have just dropped off, and no one's paying for it essentially. So now let me check this episode out. Let's see what else is going on. That's it. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CPlusComedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen. Subscribe to the Constitutionals podcast. Rate us too, wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Music, Google Podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere. Pocket Casts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's what I choose to use. Thank you for listening. Now we can end the show, but not before I pull up the outro music, because that would be a shame if I didn't. All right, here we go. Goodbye, world.